Yeah, 150 years ago, many Japanese lived in China, and the individual level they try to cooperate each other, but the country base they try to battle against.
Yeah, but
Why battle against? Like a Qin dynasty, why Japanese hate the Qin dynasty? Because of Qin dynasty so arrogant against Japanese.
Arrogant.
Yeah, that's the reason why the Japanese, military started battle against China. But
it was because the Chinese felt superior, or
yeah,
did,
they're
did
superior.
but you need to have kind of an ego yourself in order to find other people superior.
No, government level, country level.
No, but
Yeah.
like philosophically speaking, if you feel that other people are being arrogant, then basically what you feel is that you have your own sense of worth, right? Your own sense of worth, your own sense of your position versus the other. So if you feel other people are arrogant, that means that you yourself also has a kind of like an ego, a self-assessment.
Yeah, different. In 150 years ago, many Japanese lived in Shanghai. At that time, they just mixing Chinese Japanese.
Yeah.
They didn't have any
But
difficulty.
that's actually where for Mrs. what he's saying is that, yeah, if individuals, if they engage with people, then they will actually find ways to work together. That is what you are describing here is actually the result of individualism. But what is happening between China and Japan on a government level is the result of collectivism. Because on individual level, people will have a tendency to work together. On a collective level, they have a tendency to contest each other and to actually exercise power. Their collective versus the other collective, and then the people who are part of the Japanese collective, who are in the position of power, they use the collective to actually gain influence over the other collective, in this case China. That's the philosophy.
It's a difficulty persuade white people because historical
Because
education
they're
background is completely different. So their thinking base is always individual. Person to person communication and never consider for group attitude. Every time.
I'm talking about the group attitude versus the individual.
Always white people is individual. Nothing thinking about group idea.
Oh, really?
Okay, so I think what I do agree with you when you say I do believe that on a very fundamental level we don't believe in the collective.
Exactly.
In a way that we are very suspicious. I mean, of course, you can't deny that we also had Nazis in Germany who are a Western culture who basically created a collective and used that collective to gain power. But I think that is relatively minor. I don't think that, for example, our ways of fighting was not based on really a collective idea, because we are, as a collective, we are superior to the other collective. Like, for example, the British are morally superior to the French. That's bullshit. The only reason why they fought was because they had a king, or they had a ruler at that time who kind of could mobilize that collective to gain power over the other. But what I'm saying is that is not fundamentally different from what happened in Asia.
You mean just the Dutch people never cooperate with French, German, and British? Never. But Japan is trying to always thinking we are instead of I. So this is fundamentally different. Okay, we had the opinion split, we had a conflict, but always Japanese chasing for we are. Okay, we try to organize. ASEAN group is the same. We try to bind everybody, cooperate each other. But actually, we have a lot of opinion or aspect different, but still try to organize.
Question, Uno-san.
European different.
The rights in ASEAN, how are they distributed? Are they distributed based on a per ratio of the number of inhabitants, or based on the contribution in money to the ASEAN, or how exactly do we arrange the voting rights in ASEAN? So in ASEAN, it's an economic group, right? So how do we decide the voting rights? Is it one country, one vote, or is it per contribution of
ASEAN?
No.
I don't know.
What I'm saying is that a lot of these so-called like common goods initiatives were actually created in order to exercise power, just like the UN.
ASEAN, like they try to make vote one country, one vote.
They did it?
Yeah, if they one small country against, they cannot get make judgment for what kind of action to proceed on.
So if Laos votes against,
Exactly, this is a problem. Right? So
what is it?
Laos or Cambodia, they are favor for China. So always recently got problem in ASEAN. Bad problem. One country, one vote is some problem. But always ASEAN people try to get together instead of individual. Like European people, always they believe one by one instead of G7 or G8. They speak out. Everybody's different. But ASEAN, Asian people is they try to coordinate each other. This is a starting point is different. This is a background different. So Japanese is get together, but and European style is never make consensus first, then try to make conclusions and final meeting. But Japanese is first of all we try to make a consensus.
how about NATO?
First. Oh, NATO is completely separated.
NATO?
NATO separated.
Yeah, because Turkey joined the NATO,
Different.
but totally NATO army is totally different. Turkish army is totally different.
How about EU?
I'm so really skeptical. EU, right?
I'm just as skeptical about Asia.
Asia is combined. Always.
I'm just as skeptical about Asia. I think that a lot of Asian countries are engaging in these kind of agreements because they want to exercise some kind of influence, some kind of power over other countries.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're contributing because they want to be part of it. They want to control it.
I mean, like the way of thinking, the Chinese thinking, I think a little bit similar to English.
Yeah, sure. And I think actually,
China already
all
dictator,
countries are
right?
thinking like this.
Yes. But Japan is a little bit different. But Sengoku Jidai is, same thing.
Right. And actually, I think the Japanese people expect their government to protect their interests and to make sure that the Japanese people actually come first into the ideas of the government. That's common sense. I don't think that they are just doing it because they want to contribute to Asia. That's my opinion. What do you think, Takai-san? Are we contributors, or are we just like any other country, trying to protect our interests and if necessary, exercise our influence to control or manipulate others?
That's a big question. But
I don't think there is 100% individualism and 100%
Right. That's completely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that's these are just like archetypes that they are like put under magnifying glass. So there is not 100%, but in general terms. So if we accept the fact that basically these are just extremes. So, like for example, Nazi Germany is an extreme case. That's not regular in history.
Yeah.
But if we take the moderate cases, the general tendency, what is your opinion?
But Dutch people never communicate with German people.
Never, really?
Never.
Really? Is it true?
No, absolutely not true. What are you talking about?
French people, they can communicate with French people.
What are you talking about?
You.
What?
different ways. They cannot
Different
communicate
ways, but-
communicate with different races. And Japanese people different. We try to make an effort at first, like a large Asian Commonwealth we had 8 years ago. Large Asian
That's so
Commonwealth.
nice. Like the word Commonwealth. The Commonwealth. What are you talking about, Commonwealth? No, actually, this is really ticks me off. Like the British came up with the word Commonwealth.
Okay,
There's nothing common about that wealth. It's just
Japan-
British wealth.
Japanese, government proceed on 8 races into one. This is 100 years ago. 8 races into one.
Which one?
8 races.
Races. Yeah.
Races in one. This is Hachiko Ichu.
Like the
is,
Han Chinese and the.
Hachiko Ichu.
And who was going to lead that?
Japan.
Yep. Oh, they do.